The gaming industry is really the only place where the actual consumers and customers can tell every publisher, every developer exactly what they want, yet for some reason, nobody on the higher-ups will ever listen to what in fact is even happening or what is being asked for by the customers and consumers that are more than willing to give up all of their hard-earned money for just a few hours of playing a video game that they want to enjoy. Yet for some reason, all we see in the gaming industry are massive conglomerate corporations going around and buying everybody else out, gobbling up tons of IPs, and holding on to them while doing nothing with them at all. When you think about it, there are two things in the gaming industry every single gamer in this space absolutely fears and hates all at the exact same time. And one of those things is live service games. That's right. Every single time we ever see someone bring up live service, it's always around that exact same idiotic performative stance, trying to go ahead and make characters that nobody enjoys or a mechanic that people actually don't even like. And every single time, gamers will call out and say, that'll last 2 weeks, that'll last a month, that'll last about 4 to 5 months, and then it'll all be canceled. And we've already seen this happen before. Gamers effectively called out Concord, and then they called out Highguard. And you wouldn't believe what happened next. With the Highguard Twitter account saying this: Highguard's final update arriving soon. Thank you for playing with us. Today, we're sharing difficult news. We've made the decision to permanently shut down Highguard on March 12th. Since launch, more than 12 million players stepped into Highguard's world. You shared feedback, created content, and many believed in what we were building. For that, we are deeply grateful. Despite the passion and hard work of our team, we have not been able to build a sustainable player base to support the game long term. Servers will remain online until March 12th. We hope you'll jump in with us one more time to show your support and get those final grade matches in while we still can. The team is excited to release one final game update to enjoy in the remaining life of the game. We'll be adding a new warden, a new weapon, account level progression, and skill trees. Full patch notes are coming, and we're targeting tonight or tomorrow morning for a patch release. From all of us at Wildlight, thank you for playing and for supporting us and for being part of Highguard's story. Now, I know you're probably wondering, Alex, what does this have to do with anything on the thumbnail or even the title of the video? This seems so out of left field. In fact, this is exactly why we're talking about this today. You see, the thing is, Highguard was not an independent studio published game. No, all of it was in fact complete lies and fabrication that was brought up to you, the consumer, on every single level that they possibly could, using Jeff Keighley as the actual patsy and scapegoat to present Highguard to you as some sort of indie Marvel darling, when in reality, everybody was clamoring for a Titanfall spiritual successor, especially from the team that made Titanfall 2 and even Apex Legends. They didn't want another live service product. Gamers and even players in the space were forced this kind of product. And the funniest part is, this goes into the exact second thing that every gamer in fact fears and hates the most. It's not just live service, it's also Tencent. You see, there's a big reason why I brought up Highguard in the beginning of this video. It turns out that Wildlight Entertainment was not the struggling indie developed team that everybody wanted to root and get behind. No, apparently that was actually all lies, because a couple of weeks back, it goes to show that Tencent was one of the major funders inside of Wildlight Entertainment and is also one of the main companies that also funds the Game Awards as well. According to GameFile sources, Tencent secretly funded struggling shooter Highguard. Wildlight Entertainment has said for years it was fully funded, but not shared details. With the article saying this, Chinese gaming giant Tencent was the undisclosed lead financial backer of Wildlight Entertainment, the studio behind 2026's most tumultuous game launch. Sources familiar with the matter tell GameFile. Neither company has previously disclosed a financial relationship, and reps for both did not provide a comment by press time. And to make things even more ridiculous, it turns out Tencent is also on the board for the Game Awards, and Jeff Keighley worked specifically with them to get 1.5 billion viewers from China to watch his show as well. Basically, what we're seeing is one company controlling massive amounts of gaming media and even content in the actual space, simply by investing into everything that we're seeing right now. And the crazier part is, it looks like the US government might actually get involved. According to Wario64, the Trump administration debates allowing Tencent to keep its gaming investments. Top officials have held meetings to decide whether Tencent's involvement in the US and Finnish groups pose a security risk. Tencent holds a stake in Epic Games and even owns Riot Games. So real quick, before we get started, I want to clarify two specific things. Number one, I don't get political in my content nor in my videos, so I'm just going to talk about how this is going to be impacting the gaming industry from a government regulation perspective. Number two, I love Grinding Gear Games. Grinding Gear Games is also 100% owned by Tencent specifically, and I have thousands of hours into Path of Exile 1 and almost 1,000 hours into Path of Exile 2. So clearly, I'm still going to have a soft spot in my heart for GGG and PoE, but the thing is, I'm still going to be able to be critical of what's actually happening. So I want to make those caveats clear first and foremost. That way you guys know my perspective and to see what's actually going on, and you can clearly get the idea of what I'm trying to bring up. This is in fact insane news, not only because we've already seen government involvement into the gaming industry, especially with the state of New York and the Rothschilds trying to sue Valve, but also at the fact that we've seen other countries go around and do things like banning loot boxes. But no one has looked into Tencent specifically to talk about the kind of information being obtained by this company and their massive reach inside of video games. Now, this is going to be a wild thing to see, because what we're going to do right now is I want to show you a list of not only game developers and studios that Tencent outright owns, but also companies they're invested in and the percentages to show you how big of a reach Tencent actually has in the gaming space. Check this out. These are the companies that are completely 100% owned by Tencent. You ready? Funcom, Laiyu, Riot Games, Shark Mob, Sumo Group, Grinding Gear Games, Visual Arts, Clay Entertainment, Turtle Rock Studios, Wake Up Interactive, Inflection Games, Jaeger Development, Fat Shark, and Miniclip. Now that is a lot of development studios and even publishers that are totally owned by Tencent. Here's a list of either majority owners and percentage owners as well. Check this out. Tencent majority owns 10 Chambers Collective, Fulcrum Publishing, Techland, Supercell, 42% of Don't Nod, 38% of Pocket Games, 35% of ShiftUp, 35% of Epic Games, 35% of Ubisoft, 22% of Bloober Team, 20% of Marvelous, 18% of CLTD, 17% of Netmarble, 16% of From Software, 14% of Remedy, 13% of Krafton, 13% of Kakao, 10% of Paradox Interactive, 9% of Frontier Developments, and 6% of Katakawa Corporation. If you're not sitting back and shaking your head saying, how the hell did this happen right now? I don't know what will. You're looking at a Chinese company going around and investing billions of dollars into the entire gaming industry. At the same time, they're going outright and owning many of the top game developers in this space, or investing heavily into those developers as well. And clearly, whenever a firm is investing into your product or even your studio, they want a return. They want money back, and they can make manipulations and change things into the gaming space and do things that people do not actually want, which is exactly why you got something like HighGuard in the first place and why you're getting fed so much more live service slop. And that concerns me about the entire thing. Watching a company like Tencent massively invest into all these other developers and studios that truly many gamers in fact do love and really enjoy the products that they make could honestly be detrimental to the future of the actual gaming industry, because once one domino falls, the entire thing collapses all around it, basically putting all your eggs into one basket. But the thing is, there's more to this story from GameIndustry.biz, so let's go from there. According to GamesIndustry.biz, the article says this: the Trump White House is debating whether to allow Chinese juggernaut Tencent to maintain its ownership stake in games companies, according to a report in the Financial Times, which said that the subject had been discussed by senior officials in recent weeks. A Tuesday meeting of cabinet officials on the matter was postponed due to scheduling issues, the newspaper said. The matter is being considered ahead of Donald Trump's visit to China later this month. The report says that a long-running investigation by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, the CFI-US, which began under the previous Biden administration, had raised concerns over the company's investments, giving it access to data on millions of American players. Tencent owns 28% stake in Epic Games and owns Riot Games and Turtle Rock outright. Its international portfolio includes Supercell, Sumo Digital, Funcom, Clay Entertainment, and Jaeger, with minority stakes in firms including Ubisoft, including new subsidiary Vantage Studios, Techland, Krafton, Remedy, and Paradox. Now that is an incredibly crazy thing to see. Watching one major giant conglomerate corporation go around and use video games and publishers and developers to go through and collect data is one of the scariest things to imagine. We've talked about data collection a lot on this channel, especially concerning things like Discord and basically everything else in the UK. Watching companies like Xbox bend the knee to the UK for the Child Safety Act and also require digital IDs as well to access basic features on their consoles and platforms moving forward, Discord being one of the main ones in the future, and now we're seeing Tencent potentially collect tons of user data. This is why it's so incredibly apparent on what's happening in the gaming industry, and I want to connect a few dots when we put things together. One of the big things I noticed was Tencent's stake in Epic Games. When you look at something like Epic and also with Steam, it's always wild to see how Tim Sweeney always has a different opinion from what Steam actually puts out. Steam says to put AI notifications on your games. Epic says, no, we don't want to do that. Steam says we should put reviews up. Epic says, no, we don't want to do that. And it's always one side or the other. And it's kind of wild to see the entire thing play out right now. And the fact that Epic Games collects your actual data, your name, your information, your birthday, and everything else, including credit card information and payment processing information, that could be one of the craziest things to see being passed on to a giant conglomerate corporation like Tencent that no one knows is actually behind the scenes, pulling all the strings and funding these kinds of companies. You could also break it down at a smaller level as well. If you've noticed, the majority of these publishers and developers are making a lot of live service games too, which of course collect your credit card information, your name, your birthday, your date, your address, and everything else, feeding all of that data and your purchasing habits to Tencent on top of that. This isn't just one thing happening behind the scenes. This is an entire gaming industry falling into line while being dangled and puppeteered by massive companies and corporations on the back end, collecting all of your data and determining what kind of games you can and can't play. And to make matters even worse, even what games are going to be made. Finnish headquartered Supercell was specifically referenced as a risk due to its larger US user base, according to the report. The different agencies represented on the CFI-US panel weren't able to agree on how to handle the matter, the newspaper said. Although Tencent was later added to a Pentagon blacklist of companies with connections to the Chinese military, the company has denied any military connection. Okay, hold on. I was not expecting to talk about the actual military getting involved or the Pentagon putting Tencent on a blacklist of companies. Okay, look, this is about video games. I didn't think the spiral would go down this far, but clearly things are getting to an actual level that nobody was in fact prepared for. So, okay, besides all of that insanity that I was not expecting right now, one thing stuck out to me specifically, and that was the mention of Supercell. If you're not really aware, Supercell basically makes all those mobile games, and the one big game that they've always made is Clash of Clans or Clash Royale or Brawl Stars. All those games you see on a consistent basis, all on your phone. All those games asking for data and permissions. All those games asking for your information, your location, what you purchase, microtransactions, credit card information, and everything else across the board. It really could go to see how the gaming industry is far more insidious across the board than we could actually expect. Or seeing companies like Tencent outright own or massively invest into the gaming industry, and even the Saudi PIF fund, it's really wild to actually understand why these companies are doing this. The gaming industry is in fact being injected with tons of cash flow from other places. But the thing is, there's always an ulterior motive. It's not always going to be about video games. And clearly, we're actually seeing this unfold right now. It's becoming even more insane and apparent with what's happening in the space with AI, increasing the cost of everything overall, and on top of that now, with massive amounts of data collection. And if this turns out to be true, and Tencent has been doing this, we could see the gaming industry completely unfold and unravel itself with everything across the board. All that money being pumped into the industry, all these live service games, all the slop we've been being fed on a consistent basis while every single game fails consistently, while every other major studio says, keep doing live service, all in the background, all Tencent is literally pulling the strings and funding everything in the first place to merely collect your data. And when you start putting the pieces together, it somewhat makes sense. Every single live service game coming out, every single time that we see Tencent being involved into a live service game, every kind of other company saying they're independent when in reality, they're actually not. And then watching as every other major studio in the gaming space does the exact same thing and follow suit. It's really crazy to see. And this could be a huge impact on the gaming industry and also on independent games and AA games as well, not just AAA. With Tencent's stake in Epic Games controlling actual game stores, then turning around and investing into companies like Ubisoft as well, as that company tries to fight hostile takeovers over and over again. The more I say things out loud and the more I start to talk about this, the more it actually makes a lot of sense why the gaming industry has felt so bland and boring. Well, everybody has been retreating to independent titles that are actually independent and not secretly funded by companies like Tencent. But it also exposes exactly why we're seeing so many other major companies like PlayStation and etc. make non-stop live service games. While they fail and fail again, it's almost like, why would they be doing this? Because they don't want your money. They want the one breakout hit to get the investment money instead, to constantly keep inflating what they have on the back end. And that is going to be a bubble that's going to burst the gaming industry. The thing is, I've always felt the gaming industry was in fact going to get a second crash, and not unlike the way we had in the 80s. I think this is going to be a much quieter crash overall, and what you're going to be seeing are studios being shut down and closed down because they don't have the actual proper investments from not making all the right types of games that Tencent and many others want to invest into. And I think that's why you're seeing the same kind of game being made over and over and over again. The soul of the gaming industry is up for sale, and apparently everybody's selling. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comments section down below. Do you think this is actually a real thing that's happening? Do you think Tencent is collecting data? And do you think this could be one of the key aspects as to why the gaming industry is where it's at? I want to hear what you've got to say. And speaking about what you got to say, here in fact is the comment of the day from yesterday's video, with Vidman5000's comment saying, "This is why mergers and monopolies are bad. One single company cannot control every IP. People get fired, studios get dropped, good franchises get lobotomized. This corporate culture of scooping up all your competition should not be allowed." Vidman, my friend, you are absolutely 100% correct. The more we see companies buy everything out, the worse things in fact tend to be. But with all that being said, if you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. If you want even more stuff like Discord access or emotes during those live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted by about 800 people with TTS. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. You don't want to miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!